Like the priesthood, choosing a vocation as a nun is seen by many as a sacred calling, but not all who wear the black frock are as saintly as they're believed to be. The cases on this list will shock and terrify you.
In ancient times, as of now, the monastery is seen as a place of deep worship, sanctity, and chastity. It is a place where people supposedly shun pleasures and suppress their desires to devote their lives to God for the rest of their days. However, behind their high walls and seemingly pious veils, these nuns engage in acts that would make your jaw drop. Turns out, not all acts purportedly devoted to God are as pure as they seem. From clandestine love affairs to rituals fueled by their dark, forbidden pleasures, the tales of what goes on behind closed doors will leave you questioning everything you know about monasteries. In this video, we'll be delving into the secret lives of these holy women in the Sant'Ambrogio Monastery, as well as the Barnyard monasteries and convent of the Mother of God in Pisa, Italy. At number 4, we have Maria Agnesi Fara. The Sant'Ambrogio Monastery was one of the most famous monasteries at that time. Maria Agnesi Fara was the founder of the convent. In 1816, Fara was convicted because of the claims of pseudo-holiness, and this got her removed from her post at the convent and eventually imprisoned. This was due to her kinky and heinous acts that were perpetrated through the nuns entrusted to her. Also, she had lewd affairs with the confessor at that time. However, even with her being imprisoned, Maria continued to control things in the convent through her followers there. It sufficed to say she wasn't the only one enjoying the acts. After Maria Agnesi Fara was removed, one would think that she took her kinky fantasies and acted with her. But when the root is corrupted, the branches would rot as well. Let's move on to Maria Agnesi Fara's predecessor, who took her bizarre fantasies to even greater length. At number 3, we have Maria Louisa. In the 1800s, after Maria Agnesi Fara, Maria Louisa was the head of the Sant'Ambrogio. To satisfy her kinky pleasures, Maria Louisa used several methods to make the nuns of the monastery do her will. She forged letters purported to be from the Virgin Mary to get them to do her bidding, and when it didn't work, she added force and threats to it. According to a confession made by one of the nuns, Maria would make her lie with her legs wide open in a certain position, get intertwined with her, and ensure that their bodily fluids were mixed. Maria claimed that these bodily fluids had the power to heal. Also, she would make their body parts meet and claim that it was part of the initiation process. During the Jesuit initiation, she would lie to the nuns, face to face, breast to breast, claiming that it was part of the initiation. In fact, during one of their sessions, the confessor would use his tongue to create the sign of the cross on the throat of the nuns. One of the confessors, Joseph Kloikin, who was also an advisor to the Pope, admitted to having multiple carnal encounters with Maria Louisa, and like her, claimed that it was purely spiritual. Aside from her exploits with the other nuns, through her forged letters, Maria got even the confessor to become part of her tryst. An Aston novice, Maria Francesca, was the one forced to write the letters because of her beautiful handwriting, which would make it even more convincing. Maria's heinous acts would have gone relatively unknown, but for the scholar Hubert Wolff, who dug them from the archives of the Vatican. However, as expected, Maria claimed that she had learned all these from her predecessor, Maria Agnesi Fara. At number 2, we have the Barnyard monasteries. In medieval times, it wasn't uncommon to see nuns living together in communal homes. After all, no one's got a thing against sisterhood. But these nuns weren't just sisters. They engaged in sexual relationships with each other, probably giving rise to lesbianism. And no, we're not kidding, they did not see it as a sin. Rather, they saw it as a way to express their love for God through physical love with each other, a sort of spiritual intimacy. Anyway, the church wasn't thrilled by the excuse of devotion to God. Rather, they took it as a threat against the church's purity and the nuns' vows of chastity and celibacy, and severely punished the nuns. Who knows? Maybe the nuns truly believed what they said, or they were just lesbians with pent-up emotions they couldn't control. What do you think? After all, pagans engaged in such acts as their religious form of worship. At number 1, we have Sister Bernadette Carini. Previously, we've talked about the monastery of Santa Ambrogio and Barnyard monasteries, but there's another monastery whose leader also had a weird and naughty kink she took to greater length, the convent of the Mother of God in Pisa. Sister Bernadette Carini was a 17th century Italian nun who claimed to have received God's visions. Just like Maria Agnesi had done with her false forged letters, Sister Bernadette Carini used those visions as a way of getting other nuns to engage in her scandalous behaviors. As head of the convent of the Mother of God, Sister Bernadette was known for her piety and her ability to receive visions from God, making her a highly respected personality in her community and Italy. But it turns out that Sister Bernadette had used her role to convince another nun named Bartolomeo Crivelli to be in a sexual relationship with her. According to Sister Bernadette, the relationship was divinely inspired and was a way to express worship. Luckily, the church authorities found out about the relationship and launched an investigation which showed that not only was Sister Bernadette Carini in a relationship, albeit forbidden with another nun, but she had also been lying about her visions. And guess what? Since her ploy to attribute her perversions to God failed, Sister Bernadette Carini, as so many people have done, turned back and attributed the cause of everything to Satan. Suffice it to say, nobody believed her, and she was imprisoned and eventually spent the last of her years in isolation. We only hope she didn't carry on with someone else in prison. Weirder tales have been told. These scandals and the acts themselves are proof that behind a facade of sanctity, many things have occurred and are constantly happening, and it is a reminder that even seemingly sacred places can harbor the most pervasive people. As someone has noted, suppression isn't key in most circumstances. Picture Maria Agnes Fara, who probably grew up fantasizing about naughty and kinky things. Maybe if she had taken another route, she would have been better off. Instead, she becomes a nun, and in a bid to satisfy her desires, goes to great lengths of intimidation and coercion. Note that it is essential to recognize that these people represent exceptions rather than the rule. The vast majority of religious communities are devoted to their spiritual practices, with sincerity and integrity. Nevertheless, they are cautionary, urging us to remain vigilant against the potential for corruption, even in places dedicated to holiness. So, what do you think? Would it have been fascinating if you had found yourself in one of these monasteries or repulsive? Do let us know what you think in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Click on the button to receive notifications for our next video. Thanks for watching.